welcome to Radio Hound's Timeout Tuesday. Today we got to deal with 2 or 3 things, and one, by the time you're watching this, we should have no more music on the videos as far as during the instructional phase, so I think that'll make everybody happy. It's been a work through to try to get past that. I thank you guys for your patience on that. And like I say, a lot of those videos I'll recreate later on. But right now, we're going to continue on with this radio. We're going to be doing another radio right behind this one, so we'll be able to pick up what you missed on the first ones with the music being so loud. Secondly, I'm going to make a public correction. Two very astute viewers, and there's probably more of you that just was kind and didn't say anything, but I clipped onto a wrong pin on, I think it was part 10 of the schematic series. I clipped on when I was doing the IF transformers, and on the primary, on the first IF, I clipped on the wrong pin, so we're going to re-video that and make sure you guys can see the right numbers. I should have caught that because most of the time those two sides of the IF are really close to each other and pretty low ohms. And that ohms came out to like 46, so that should have caught something, but I was in training mode and I didn't even think about it, to be honest with you. So we'll go over that here in a few minutes. And then also another viewer reached out to me, and later on I was going to show you how to calculate for an IF transformer replacement. And so I'm gonna tack that into this Timeout Tuesday video, only because I was going to do it later on, and this viewer is in need of it pretty much now because he's working on a radio. So I thought I'd just go ahead and tack it onto this Timeout Tuesday video, and that way we'll accomplish 3 things, and we'll have a good day for the Timeout Tuesday. I'm putting up, like I say, I'm putting up extra videos right now, and when we get caught up to myself, I'll only be putting out to 1 to 2 a week, so don't get too excited when you're getting 4 a weekend. But once I get caught up, then it'll settle down to about 1 to 2 a week. So I thank you guys for all the viewing. I'm getting all kind of good responses. I thank you. There's not been one person that's been rude to me, and I know I've made 100 mistakes, and every one of you have been real kind about those. So. Like I say, I don't mind the guys that put in the constructive criticism on me getting on the wrong pin. They were very kind in their comment, and I think they knew that I clipped on the wrong pin. I was even talking about the wrong pin, although we looked it up in the book and had the right pin. So bottom line, those are the kind of mistakes you make, and you guys were really kind, and I'll take those kind of comments all day long. And as long as all of us get on the same sheet of music and get on the right one, I'm okay with that, because we're all learning together on this. So that can happen so easy for you to clip to the wrong pin and get bad information. So actually it's a learning experience for all of us. All right, without further ado, we'll get into Timeout Tuesday. Thank you. Okay, the first thing that I said I was going to tackle was my mistake that I made when I was doing, I think it's part 10 of the schematic series. Part 10, we were dealing with this IF section right here. I was measuring these, and I showed you where to clip on each side to get the measurements for that. And when we measured this first IF, I got a 446 ohms here, and then when I did the second IF, I got a 8.9 on the second IF. Well, that first IF should have been close to the second IF, and let me try to zoom that where you can see it better. All right, anyway, these two, because these are almost equal across each other, so they should be pretty close, and that should have sparked something in my head. I mean, I know better. It's just it didn't catch that day, and so I had told you guys we were going to go to pin 3, but then on the video I rewatched the video, and I said we're going to clip onto pin 2 now, and sure enough we clipped onto pin 2, and that's what gave us a 46. It was supposed to be pin number 3 right here. So today I clipped on to pin 3, the right pin, which my little red lead, you can't see it because it's underneath the switch, but it's on pin 3. And then remember we went on the other side of that. Let me get this light out of the way. All right. Anyway, we went on the other side of that 1K resistor, the side that's coming out of the first IF. We went on the side that went on that, and that's where we clipped on the other lead too. And look what we got. We got the 7.8, which is real close. So I'm going to change our number up here, and we're going to switch it over to 7.8. And that'll be a correction that got made, and I publicly announced that I made a mistake. 7.8, and the 46 is out. So that makes those two match up a lot better. A lot of people were questioning the other one though, because you have 8.2 and 19.7, but that's because we were measuring from here down to this thing, but it's passing through a resistor right here, and so that's why you're picking up the larger ohms on that one. But this one I did clip onto the wrong pin, and so thank you guys for pointing that out to me, and all the ones who didn't, I thank you, because I know you're probably thinking he's on the wrong pin, but I appreciate your kindness and all this. That's the first correction I'm going to make. So then we're going to go on to the next part that I'm trying to help one of the viewers out. So we're going to do that next. Okay, on the first part of this, the viewer reached out to me, and I had mentioned in a previous video that I was going to be talking about an output transformer, and how to calculate like this output transformer, how to figure out would that work in my radio to replace an output transformer that I got. I got a bad one on my radio and I need to get it replaced, so what do I put in there? How do I figure that out? Well, if you got an output transformer laying around like I've got this one here, we're going to use this one as our example today. I'm going to show you how to do the math on that, so you can kind of figure out will this transformer work in my radio with my speaker. So the layout that I'm going to give you, I want to make sure I preface this. You're dealing with high voltages here. Whenever we put a voltage in, we're going to get real high voltages out, and it's going to be bare wire sticking out. So I want to proceed at your own risk and with caution when we do this. So I want you to just watch each step, and this will help you to maybe kind of figure that out. Now, it's not all inclusive, but this will do a lot of them for you. And the best way to do this is my favorite one, and they're a little more expensive, but they're worth it. Hammond makes a lot of nice little replacement transformers, and they have a bunch of different taps, so you can play around with this until you get the right one that works for what you need for your ohms on your speaker that you got. But I'm going to show you this one. This is just going to be a hypothetical case, so I don't even have a speaker in front of me to do, but we're just going to do it hypothetically. All right, so we're going to take it from here. Give me a minute to get set up. Okay, the first step we do is you got to get you a cord of some kind with the ends of it that are open like this, nothing on the other end. Just have a plug-in, regular plug-in that you can put in your slot, and then it has both ends where you can clip a multimeter onto it. All right, then you're going to set your multimeter over here to AC. All right, so we're going to set it to AC, and I got that flipped over there to the AC mark. All right, and then we want to make sure our variac is down to 0. All right, then we're going to plug our cord in. Next step we do is we're going to roll this up. And the reason I put that on, I clipped my leads from my multimeter onto here because my meter up here don't record until it gets up to so many volts, so I'm having to do it over here. All right, so right now, when we plug that thing in, we're going to start rolling this up, and we're going to roll up until we get to 6 volts. Okay. Hold on, I fell off my lead. Let's try that again. Now we're getting the voltage. That thing was reading open. Okay, now we can roll it up. And we're going to watch this go up into 6 volts. Make sure you're not laying your arm on the wires, okay? I got to get where my thing's focusing. My arm's throwing it off. Okay, I'm just turning the variac. I'm going to try to get both in the same shot. And see, I'm already at 6.9 volts. So just make sure you get close to 6. It don't have to be perfect. Just get it close to 6. There's 601, 599, 601. Just jump in between. All right, so now what we know is we got 6 volts coming out of this right here. So we're going to disconnect. We're going to disconnect that. We're going to unplug right now, okay? So we know when I plug into that, I got 6 volts coming out, all right? And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to lay our output transformer here. I'm trying to put it back from the edge because I don't want this thing up close to where I can lean up against that, because you're going to have real high voltage coming out here, all right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to connect 2 leads to here. And when we do that, we're going to go on the secondary side, on the speaker side. This is and how you can tell is you got 2 wires coming out this side and 3 wires going in this side. So this is what goes to your voice coil on your speaker, okay? The one with the 2 wires. All right, so then you just clip them on a lead. I'm trying to do this one-handed, but you clip that lead on, all right? And then we're going to hook the other end of our wire that's going to plug in at 6 volts. We're going to plug in that 6 volts. So we're going to clip the other end of those leads onto our wire. All right. Now we got the secondary side set up, and we're getting this set up to plug in. We got the secondary all set up right here, where I'm plugged into that secondary side. So I'm going to run 6 volts backwards in through this transformer. Now we got to put some leads on the other side, and we're only going to use the 2 outside leads, not the center tap lead, okay? So the red ones are center tap, so we're going to use the brown and the blue, all right? So I'm putting the red wire on that one and the yellow one on this one. And now I've got my 2 clips coming off of the primary, and that primary is going to go back to my multimeter leads again, okay? So I'm going to get those set up here in 2 seconds. All right. And we're going to clip one on there and one on there. Now, there's a lot of guys that are watching, and I already know all this, but this is for that person who's just starting out. Okay, so we want to make sure our wires are all spread apart, nobody's touching each other, because you're going to have live voltage right here, a lot of AC voltage on these right here, because you're going to run this backwards through there, and that's going to create a high voltage because you got a winding ratio difference. This is a low impedance, high impedance, so you have to make sure, because whatever. You're going to have a lot more windings on this side than that side, so whatever you put in here is going to be multiplied times that winding ratio. And we're getting ready to figure out what that winding ratio is, all right? So, and we're going to read that right here with this. We're going to leave it on AC on our multimeter, okay? So now watch. We're going to plug this thing in, all right? And then we're going to pull it over here. And what I'm getting right now is about 242 volts AC coming out of that. So right here on the primary side of that output transformer, by putting 6 volts in, we're getting 242. It's kind of jumping around 42, 43. All right. So then on my next segment here, I'm going to have to reset. I'm going to show you how we do the math on that now. Okay. Okay. Also, before we go any further, make sure that you unplug this so that's not laying around with 240 volts laying around while you're doing your calculations. So get that unplugged. I made this little chart right here, and this is on I did mine on Excel. You can do yours whatever, but I'm going to try to get a good shot of this chart. It's really just this side right now, but I'm gonna let it sit there for a second so you can get a steady shot on that. I'm hand holding this, and I've got it zoomed in, so it's a little shaky, but these are just multiples. Ignore this right here, but these are just multiple, like where you can do multiple transformers, get all your combinations. So if you're sitting there with a Hammond transformer, you can try different taps and see what you get on each of these taps to see which one you can match with. Also, this load resistance out here, that's hypothetical. That's kind of like an average, but this number will change too, and I'll show you how to get that number on the side. But we're getting ready to start this calculation. I taped my paper down so I wouldn't be moving around when I'm trying to do this one-handed and hold the camera. All right, so first thing we're going to put is the first column. It said the volts applied, okay? So we're going to write this up here on our blank paper right here. So in the first column, column C, so I'm going to just put C up here. The volts applied was 6 volts, okay? All right, and I'm going to tell you right now, I need to step away just for 1 minute because I got to go get a calculator. I made the mistake of forgetting that I'm using my iPhone to film this, and my calculator is on my phone that I use, so they kind of mess up. Okay, so column number C is we have applied 6 volts. Okay, then column D is how many volts we got out. And we said 243 volts, okay? So there's our 243 volts that we got on column D. All right, then it tells us to divide on the next column over. We want to divide D by C, okay? So we want to divide the 243 by 6. So we're going to go to our calculator, and we're going to do 243 divided by 6, and that comes with 40.5, okay? 40.5, and that's column E. Okay, 40.5, column E, all right? Next thing it tells us to do it is take E times itself, okay? The 40.5 is your winding ratio. That's how many turns. For every turn over here, you're getting 40.5 turns on the other side, okay? So that was our winding ratio. Now we're going to take our winding ratio times itself. So we're doing 40.5 times 40.5 equals 1640.25. So this is F. Get up here where you can see. Okay, 1640.25 is what our calculator is telling us for that winding ratio squared, okay? All right, then what we have to do is we have to go out to the book, and we're going to figure out what this number is right here. That's this right here, the load impedance. I mean, our load resistance is what I'm trying to say. All right, so I'm going to try to get in here, and we're going to show you. Okay, we're just going to use a hypothetical. Your radio has 6F6, and it has 2 of them. It's in a push-pull form, so that means there's 2 output tubes that are 6F6. All right, what you do is you go down here in the fine print. Now my fine print just happens to be, because it goes off the end of the page here, so I have to flip the page up and go to the next page. All right, and that next page is right here. All right, so this is for right here. You go down until you find the load resistance, okay? And your load resistance, depending on even how you have it biased, on this particular radio, it has 7,000 ohms no matter which way it's biased, okay? So if it was fixed bias or a cathode bias, it doesn't matter. It's going to be 7,000 ohms. But this is only for a single tube. We want a push-pull format, so you go on down, it'll have the push-pull. The first one you went into is on the front page. It'll be the single tube Class A amplifier, and then your next one will be the push-pull Class A amplifier. Then we go down to that effective load resistance, and this is 10,000 ohms, okay? So that's what we're looking for, is our 10,000 ohms. So on our average one over here, we had 8,000 ohms, but ours is going to be 10,000 ohms, okay? All right, so now what it tells us to do in this last column, it says the load resistance divided by F. So whatever we had in F, we want to divide, whatever this number is, we want to divide the load resistance by that number, okay? So we're going to take 10,000 divided by, and then the 1640.25. All right, so here's what you're going to see is it'll give you 6.0 09. All this other numbers off the side, you can kind of round it up. So I would put 6.10, okay? So 6.10 is what goes in this last column in G, okay? 6.10. So what it's telling us is, and this is right kind of in this particular output transformer is right in between two. This is what it's telling you on this number right here is telling you how many ohms of resistance that you need to have on your speaker, okay? So this is a 6 ohm speaker. Well, there ain't too many. You either got a 4 or an 8. I'll be honest with you. I think either an 8 would be closer to it, but it's not going to land exactly. But for this particular output transformer, using that with a 6F6 push-pull tubes in your radio, then that output transformer is not going to be a good match because it's a little bit off. It's in between a 4 ohm speaker and a 6 ohm speaker. Let's just say if your speaker's an 8 ohm, this would probably work for a while. It's going to mess with your tubes, because if you don't have this set just right here, it's gonna make your tubes run either hot or cold because it's not gonna be landing exactly right. Okay, so you would want to maybe try to dig through your pile a little bit more, or like say if you're using the Hammond transformer that has all the taps, you'd try to pick a different tap to get you closer to the 8 ohm if that's what you got as 8 ohm voice coil. You got to match that voice coil up to your output tubes. Those two have to match each other, and that's how you do the math here to figure out if it's going to match. So this particular output transformer with a 6F6 tube is not the best choice, but it could be used temporarily. You could probably use it. It's just going to make your tubes run a little bit hot. But other than that, it would get you by. But bottom line, you just have to play around with it on the Hammond transformer and get it close as you can down here to where that's close to 8, if that's what you got as 8 ohm voice coil. Now, if you had a 4 ohm voice coil, this would definitely probably not be too much. I wouldn't go with that, but I would go with the I would go with a different one, instead of using this one for a 6F6 tubes and an 8 ohm voice coil. I would try to maybe go that different, because you have to have those two be able to communicate with each other, and that's what this guy does. This guy, and I'm using communication, they're talking about impedance. You go from high impedance to a low impedance, but the bottom line is you want to make sure that impedance matches, and that's what that transformer does. It matches the impedance between the two, and that's what this mathematical calculation does for you. It helps you to match that. And so then I would just grab another tap on your Hammond transformer, or grab another one out of your box and just try a different one with that 6 volts and see if you can get a different number right here. We might play around with that. Give me a second here and I'll set up again here. All right, I did a little math on the side just to try to not take up screen time. But let's just say if you had a 4 ohm voice coil in there, you would have to have about 300 volts AC coming out. When you put in your 6 volts, you'd have to have about 300 volts AC. If you wanted to go to the 8 ohm voice coil, it'd be about, I'm sorry, I wrote 210, but it's actually 215. I put 215 in there, and 215 was 7.8 ohms. So that's right that would make an 8 ohm voice coil happy as can be. So that would make an 8 ohm voice coil feel comfortable with a 6F6 push-pull Class A amplifier. Those two could read each other. So really, this is real close. I don't really think it would hurt a whole lot either way, but it would temporarily, that would get you by with the 6F6, but I wouldn't leave it in there long, and I wouldn't play it a long time, because you're going to end up messing something up. And like I say, it's going to either make the tubes run too cold or run them too hot if you don't have it land pretty close to those numbers, the 4 ohm. But this is your ohms on your speaker out here, and basically you're making sure that that's going to impedance match to that, and I hope that answered everybody's questions on this. You can take a moment to write this down. Like I say, it's really just this one line here, I just put a bunch of columns because I was doing a Hammond transformer, so I put a bunch of different ones on there fight, and that's what this color means too. It has to do with the colors coming out of there. But it's really just, it's just this, you know, that top line, and that tells you how to do your calculation. Ignore that right there. That was just my 8,000 I had plugged in there as an example. But you get that effective load resistance, you get that in that book, and it's right underneath the tube data, and it'll either say load resistance or effective load resistance. Sometimes it says either one. On the push, excuse me, I'm trying to get focused. On the push-pull, on there it says effective load resistance, but up on the other one it just says load resistance. It's the same thing, one and the same. All right, if there's any questions on that, you go right ahead and holler out at me, and hopefully this will answer that question for you too. We are moving right along in real life out there. We're about, which is down the road for you guys, but we're about halfway through the radio as far as rewiring it. I will show you just a little sneak peek. We've got a lot of the wiring done. This top half of the radio is a lot of it done, and that's coming up in the future, and you're going to be able to follow along with that. Yes, I have a mistake coming there too, but it's not one that I didn't correct on the screen. I corrected it right on the screen, so it'll be in the video itself, the correction. That was just an old guy mistake there. It wasn't doing something wrong really. Well, it was, but it wasn't teaching something wrong. It was physically doing something wrong. And you'll get to see that coming, but that's the only sneak peek you get. That's several videos out, but you will get to see all that. And we're working our way through that radio right now in real time. And I'm slowly I'm dropping 4 videos a week trying to get caught up to myself so I don't have a bunch of videos in between. And I love the comments, I love the reactions, I love the corrections. You guys keep them coming, and we're going to get better and better at this. I'm going to get it where my filming is better. I'm trying so hard. Later on, we'll be able to do calculations like this over here. I laminated this so for my own sake it don't get messy or messed up, and actually you can write on it with the kind of ink you can wipe off, and that's why I did it that way. It gives me a quick calculation. When I'm trying to chase something in a radio and I want to know something, I can do a quick calculation on it. Later on, I know everybody said, why haven't you talked about Ohm's law and that kind of stuff? I'm going to introduce stuff, but I'm only going to do it a little bit at a time, because if you get somebody brand new, start throwing all this math at them. I'll tell you who is my mentor on math, and I just happen, I hate to say this, but I happen to see that he actually is following me, and I about fell over because he's so good. But his is Don from Restoral Radios, but he's the one that I learned this stuff here from, and I think he does good on math. Now sometimes he's really smart, and sometimes it was above my head, and I had to watch his videos about 5 or 6 times to actually catch on what was going on. But he has one that I'm going to show you later on. I think I've got it written down somewhere on how to calculate what wattages you need for this can dome up here. And anyway, I thank you, Don. I thank you for following me. It blows my mind that you're doing that. And he has the right to pipe in and get me on the right road if I'm messing up. So I thank you for all the likes and subscribes. And like I say, we're gonna just only gonna get better at this, and hopefully I can help somebody to become somebody great someday as far as understanding these old radios. And my goal is for us to get as many of these back on the road as we can get. We're going to take these 80, 90, 100-year-old radios and put them back into use. And also the other thing is, because a lot of us are older people that are teaching this stuff, and we need some young guys in there that can take on this hobby and not let it die with us. I'd really love to see that. I'd love to see guys in their 20s and 30s and watching me and subscribing to me, because that means that we're teaching a new generation to take over this and not let all this beauty that we have laid out here die. I don't want that to die. All right, I hope you enjoyed Timeout Tuesday today, and I hope it was educational for you. If you have any questions, again, reach out. I'm just rambling, so I'm going to get off here. Have a nice day. Thank you for watching.